We have Hans Nedhart,
Yep.
International Director, going to ask some questions. When and where did you join the Lions Club?
I joined the Lions Club in 1981 in Potwin, Kansas, a little town, about 500 people. And my neighbor had been trying to get me for a long, long time. And a young man with a young family in the military, I'm going, I really don't want to join a bunch of old gentlemen, and I'm just too busy. And next thing you know, one night I forgot what day of the week it was, forgot what time of day it was because I just got home from work. The phone rings and it's my neighbor. Well, you always help your neighbor when they need something. So he said, "Are you busy?" And I said, "No, I'll be right over. What do you need?" And he said, "Don't worry about it. I'll be by in 10 minutes. I'm taking you to the Lions meeting tonight." That evening I signed up to be a Lion, and probably one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Nice. What was or is your trade, profession, or occupation?
At that time I was full-time in the military, and I was a intelligence specialist as an enlisted, and I spent 39 years total time with 30 years full-time. Ended up retiring from the Air Force, from the Air National Guard Air Force as a colonel in 2013.
Full bird?
Full bird.
Wow.
Started out as a private.
Holy
Private in the Army.
Grunt.
Fort Dix, New Jersey. You gotta love it.
Good God. What is your favorite memory as a Lion that you'd like to share?
You know, there's so many of them. You know, if you're truly a Lion, there's always something that will, you know, spark something here. And that's the thing we have to remember, because, you know, I'll have to be honest. Both Sherry and I got to a point where we kind of burned out. And, you know, you sit there and go, I've done a lot. I've been a Lion for 20, 30, 35 years, whatever. Maybe it's time before you get that bad feeling and start, you know, gearing the sand in the gearbox type of attitude. Maybe we just smile and say, you know, it's been a wonderful trip and it's time to get out. But we found that Sherry and I did the Kansas Lions Band for 22 years, which is we'd bring in high school students from all over the state of Kansas. In conjunction with the state convention, we do a 5-day camp. And those youngsters, that is what sparked and kept us going. You know, so as a Lion, when you finally reach that point where you sit to go, I've done everything, maybe it's time for me to hang up my vest, find that spark that'll keep you going, because, you know, whether you're 18 or 98, there is something out there for you as a Lion that you can help others.
True. What offices have you held and what awards have you received?
Oh Lord, you know, I've truly been blessed, because I went up through the club officer positions, got into the district. Actually, you know, past international director or past international president, Dr. Wonder called me up in April, just before I was appointed as a governor, because our governor did not have a vice district governor. And so he calls me up and says, "Hans, you need to be the next governor." And I said, "I can't." And he goes, "Why?" And I said, "Well, at our convention, we did not have a vice governor. We did not elect a vice governor." He said, "Hans, don't worry about that. We will make a special, get it together and do a special vote. You're in." So I did not get to meet I didn't even know my other 6 district governor-elects until I met them a month later at the state convention when we went in for training. You know, I've got a lot of, you know, district awards. I've gotten, you know, presidential certificates of appreciation, leadership medal, president's medal. You know, so as I've gone throughout the organization, you know, I became a district governor, then I served as council chair. I've been to multiple districts, 17 district multiple district treasurer for about 15 years. And back in early 22 or late 22, I started work on getting endorsement to be an international director, and I went to Boston in 2023 to the international convention, and that's where I walked across the stage. When I was in San Diego in 1999, when I was a governor-elect, the directors walked across the stage, and I still had my little badge on with the elect on the bottom. Hadn't even had the tab pulled. And I told Sherry, I said, you know, someday I would like to walk across that stage. And who knows, 20-some years later, I walked across the stage. So where do I go from here? Who knows? There's always leadership opportunities out there. There's always service opportunities out there. Never say never, because things can happen.
Nice, nice. To the younger members new to Lionism, what words of wisdom would you like to share?
Especially now, I think Lionism has changed in attitude of way we did it back in the 80s and 90s and even the early 2000s. Now we need to look for lions, younger lions, that have a passion and some new ideas. Because especially in our area, Constitution Area 1, the United States, we've been around since 1917. So a lot of our clubs have been around a long, long time. It's not unusual to have a club with 75, 85, 95, 100 years of service. And so they're set in their ways. And if we're going to prosper in the future, we need to look for new members, and we have to have the willingness to sit there and go, okay, we never thought about that. Or, we tried that once before, but it didn't work. Well, we have to be open to change. And as you take a look at the technology that's out there, we talked about AI yesterday. What was AI 20 years ago? It was 2 letters in the alphabet.
Yep.
And what is it to now? Everybody has a smartphone. Everybody's on some kind of social media. We have to look at marketing. We have to draw in the people. We have to be willing to look outside of our own ethnic group.
Yep.
The world is made up of a lot of different ethnic groups. And, there's room for everybody. Everybody can be a lion. A lion has no color, has no gender, has no political connection, has no religious connection. So everybody can be a lion. And thank goodness that the ladies are part of
Exactly.
that lionism.
Yep.
Because I can remember back in the early 80s when I started, ladies were not invited.
Yeah.
And finally, 1987, the doors were open, and I think that was a very positive thing.
I agree. It's hard to believe that it
Yep.
took so long. The Dallas Club, celebrates 100 years next year.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you. How would you like to be remembered?
As a veteran, I'd like to be, recognized as a veteran. I'd like to be recognized as a good husband, a good father. I'd also like to be recognized as a good lion that served over 44 years now. To me, it's not about the badge that I wear, that I'm an international director. I always tell people, just plain old lion hands. It's not about the titles. It's not about being a retired colonel. I did the service because of the service. I do the lions because I believe in helping people. That was just me. So, if it won't be no tombstone, because I'm gonna be put in one of them little boxes after I'm cremated. But if somebody walks by, I go, there's that old cuss that helped a lot of people. And that's what I want to be remembered as, someone that was willing to share anything and everything that I have, and helping someone else in need.
Cool. Thank you. That's it.
Thank